There currently is a boys' crisis that is harming our nation. Young men and boys are struggling with school, the law, poverty, and violence and suicide. There are many factors to this, but none the least is fatherlessness. The lack of a proper male role model for children these days is really harming our nation, especially for a society that needs strong young men and boys.
In response to this crisis, 34 nationally known scholars and advocates have created a detailed proposal on the White House Boys and Men Council. And in response to this vision, we have Young Voices TV, where young men such as us can have a conversation on what the needs are of men and boys. And with us today, we have Tasreen Khamisa, the Executive Director of the Tariq Khamisa Foundation, and we have Edwin Vazquez, a Peace Educator of the Foundation, with us today. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
Cool.
Yeah, likewise.
So guys, if you can you guys just tell us about yourselves, about the foundation, and what it's about?
So the Tariq Khamisa Foundation was founded 22 years ago by my father, Edwin Khamisa, in memory of my brother, Tariq. He was tragically killed here in San Diego by Tony Hicks, who was only 14 years old at the time. My brother was a student at San Diego State University. He had dreams of becoming a photographer and being a journalist. He loved to write and travel. He was my best friend. He was my confidant. He delivered pizzas part-time to help pay for college. And on January 21st, 1995, a gang called the Black Mob ordered in a pizza to a bogus address. And when he tried to deliver the pizza, they surrounded him. They demanded the pizza. As my brother was trying to get away, the gang leader handed Tony Hicks, who was only 14 years old at the time, a gun and asked him to shoot my brother. It was one bullet. It took my brother's life, and as you can imagine, tore up my family. It was really painful and hard to lose my brother. My father, Edwin Khamisa, though, even in tragedy, saw victims at both ends of the gun. It's natural to see my brother a victim of Tony, but he also saw Tony as a victim of society, a society that we've all created. And he took the responsibility, and I have too taken the responsibility of the bullet that killed my brother. In response to that, my father decided to take the path of forgiveness and not revenge. And he reached out to Tony's grandfather and guardian, Ples Felix, and asked him if he would join him to talk about how we can stop youth violence in this country. And Ples agreed, and they've been together for 22 years. We've also been supporting Tony Hicks in prison, seeing him as a victim of this. Our family has been able to forgive him and develop empathy for him, realizing that our young children make mistakes and they deserve a second chance. And we need to give them the tools they need to take that second chance and be productive with that. And we have been supporting Tony in that. We've been advocating for his release. It has been very difficult, but we finally have a parole hearing for him in October of 2018. We've offered him a job at the foundation for when he gets out, because we know his story and his voice will be the strongest part of the organization. But what TKF does is we implement peace education programs all over San Diego County, rooted in accountability, compassion, peace, and forgiveness. We have 4 programs under what we call our Safe School model. And those 4 programs we have an assembly-based program, which is a 60-minute program really talking about the effects of violence and how it's painful and how it can harm. But then what can we do? Instead of anger and revenge, we can take the path of forgiveness. We have a 10-session curriculum that we implement in classes. We have a mentoring program, which Edwin can talk more about because he's one of our mentors. And we help schools launch peace clubs with our very youth leadership focused on civic engagement, social consciousness, how youth can affect change in their own community. And Edwin can talk maybe more about the mentoring piece of our programs.
So every time I hear the story, it just kind of throws me back. It's just crazy to believe that all this happened, and he was 14 at the time. And it really just makes me happy to know that I'm a part of this program as well. But like how she was saying, peace education, my role is to work with a specific set of kids and see how their everyday is and talk to them, learn about them, and grow with them as they move along through the grade school. I'm one of the earlier educators, so I do elementary school. A lot of my students, I see exactly what you guys were talking about. I heard about your proposal, and a lot of my students are fatherless. They are going through domestic issues, and I am very aware that they don't have as many resources. I am their resource. Sometimes I walk around through the school and I notice there's not that many male figures in the classroom, or even the speech or music, whatever you may call it. There are not a lot of male figures in place. So a lot of my students, when I first started, they all gravitated towards me. We all created a huge relationship, not just with my specific caseload of 12 students, but I actually grew a relationship with the whole school. The whole school knew my name. I'm now doing it for this is my second year, or coming up my third year actually, at a new school, and it's just crazy to believe that I can go back and I know not just the small individuals that I help, like I impacted a whole school, like they looked towards me. And now I'm moving to a different school where the whole staff is only women. Yeah. I will be, again, the only male figure.
So what qualifies somebody to be a peace educator?
Well, it really, there's many factors, I think. There's not just one. I mean, of course, education plays a vital role, but when I did my interview process, I'm a San Diego State student right now, graduating in December. When I did the interview process, they kind of took a gamble with me, I believe, because I had a lot of experience working with young kids. I've been working in the districts and the school system since I graduated high school as an avid tutor, classroom assistant, and I heard about their program, and I myself lost my father at a young age. It was very difficult. I have 3 younger siblings, and I've always tried to be that role model for them. I want them to succeed. I want them to see that even though we have these obstacles and bumps on the road, that you can still make it. And I heard about this program and I made it a goal of mine to make my way there, that although I may not be as competitive on the educational level, like I am here and I want to work and I want to make sure these students get that role model. It's the same thing.
It's such a rewarding job too, right?
It is. Yeah. I love going to work every day.
I can relate. I used to do the exact same thing for Boys Men Mentoring, except with like 150 kids per school. So yeah, it's very rewarding.
We train our mentors too before we place them on school sites.
That is definitely true. I can contest to that. I went through very rigorous training before I started, simply because of how they wanted me to start, and I honestly feel like it definitely prepared me for the future, and I definitely see myself continuing in this field as well, and I hope to help TKF in as much as I possibly can. It's a great program, and like I said, it's very difficult for me to see that at these schools that we work at, we are the only program there that mainly focuses like on not just like one individual. It's like we help both
the
men and the boys and the girls, as well as the whole school. Whereas you have specific resources that are only for the young girls, or only for this, or only for that. And I just feel like we really need to use that more, and I like how TKF does that.
So are all mentors employed by TKF, or are some of them volunteers?
No, we pay and employ our mentors, because our mentors are placed on school campuses 4 days a week, between 24 and 32 hours. So we pay our mentors, we train them, we partner with school psychology, the counselor, the principal, because what happens is mentors become these confidants to the students, because the students relate to them more. They relate to them sometimes more than their teachers, more than their counselors, and they feel safe. They feel safe with the mentors, and I think that's the one piece that weaves through all TKF's programs, is we have to create a safe space for students to process what's going on in their life. And mentors are that safe space. Their office is that safe space. And sometimes they share things that have never been shared before, but then we have to make sure that student gets the social emotional support they need. If they need it past the mentor, whether that's being referred to the school counselor or a school psychologist or private therapy or whatever they may need, or whatever's going in their home, that they get the right help that
Do
they
you
need.
guys only work within the school system, or do you also work outside the school system?
We are very school-based.
Okay.
Our programs are all school-based. They're all implemented during school hours. Our Peace Club sometimes has been an after-school type program, but recently students are actually taking their lunch period to do Peace Club, and
That's amazing.
they love it, yeah.
I personally don't facilitate a peace club at my school. They're a little bit younger, but I closely work with one of my other colleagues, and she does a peace club, and it was insane how she told me that the first time they did it, it was like, okay, 5 to 7 students. And then by the second and third time, word had gone through the whole school, they needed to get a different room because there was so many students that wanted
amazing.
to take a part of this. And it's just crazy to hear that. Like, these students just are looking for that area where they can talk about it. They can be able to speak to someone.
How many schools do you guys work in?
So this past school year, we worked with about 10,000 students. We implemented our assembly-based program in about 30 schools. And the assembly-based program reaches a large number of kids at one time. There's 200 or 300 students at the assembly. We implemented our curriculum to about 3,000 students in about 6 different campuses. We had our mentoring program at 3 sites, and we had our Peace Club at about 3 sites. So TKF is actually, in this upcoming school year, we're going to be developing a Train the Trainer module for our curriculum and Peace Club, so we can roll out and impact more students. There's a greater demand for our programs, so we've kept the organization pretty small, very San Diego focused, but there's been such a greater demand for the curriculum pieces of it. So we're hoping to train school counselors, school teachers to actually implement and teach our programs. That way it'll be able to impact more kids and keep the costs down for the schools.
Edwin, if I could ask you something, since you brought it up and you mentioned it, most of the staff within all school systems, especially elementary, are female. How do you think that impacts all the boys at the school?
Honestly, I personally took a moment and I read your proposal. So I read the proposal on the Boys and Men Council, White House Council, and it really intrigued me because you guys all hit all the right parts. There's a lot of programs you see that women are excelling in, girls are excelling in, math, science, reading. And then there are programs where boys used to excel in that typically didn't go with academics, but because they were doing so well, it pushed them to be an overall better student. Now you're not seeing a lot of male figures. You're not seeing that achievement from that perspective. You are only seeing women in power, which isn't a bad thing, but when you have these young boys that are restless, that are trying to be someone, I deal with 9 to 12-year-olds. They are a handful, both my girls and my boys, but sometimes my boys, they just need a little bit more guidance in the sense that this is what we're here to do. Now let's do it. And it's sometimes very difficult when all they see is women because they feel like they can't have that same connection as their classmates. That's why what I said when I first started, they all gravitated to me. I had students that were coming to my safe zone, to my classroom, my office, and who I hadn't met before. They were like, the students call me Mr. V on campus. They were like, Mr. V, I'm a 3rd grader, I'm so-and-so. My friend told me you're really cool, can we hang out? By the end, like I said, I don't have a police club, but throughout the semester, I also had a lot of different students that were now meeting other students, making connections. They were connecting, they were getting social bonds, and I feel like just by doing that, they were able to make smarter decisions. You know, in the future, I know that they're gonna think back and be like, Mr. V was there, he helped me do this. And I feel like it's sometimes very difficult when they only see one type of person throughout their whole grade school. I mean, they're in one school from kindergarten to 6th grade.
Yeah.
So it's like you've only had women's teachers.
Tasreen.
Yes.
So is building the community a big part of your curriculum that you have for your mentors? Is that a big part of your when you're integrating in schools?
It's weaved through all our programs, but to inspire youth that they have a voice and that they can affect change in their schools and in their communities is a big part of all of our programs, and giving them the skills and tools they need to be successful at that. A lot of the students we work with, they have strong leadership skills. They're just using them in a really negative way, and they're causing harm. But they have the skills, it's in them. So it's just showing them how they can take those same skills they possess and affect positive change. And I think it's crucial that they have positive role models in their life. Positive male role models are crucial, and it's what Tony didn't have. You know, Tony was the first 14-year-old in the state of California to be tried as an adult. He was really angry, and when you ask him, why were you so angry, and he'll always say, because I didn't have a dad. I was angry because I didn't have my dad in my life. And that anger, if we don't teach our young boys to deal with that anger and release that, they're gonna harm others or harm themselves. And so that's really, at TKF, what we're trying to accomplish is give kids the tools they need to not harm others and not harm themselves, and then help them heal from their wounds so they can allow love and joy and compassion and empathy back in their life, and then use that to affect change and inspire their peers to also do the same.
And you're totally right. I watched your guys' that 4-minute introduction video you guys have, and I just absolutely, I loved it because, you know, and I always say the schools are, you know, they're getting less and less money every year. Basically all the kids are supposed to learn is math, science, and English, and you'll be successful. But no one's teaching kids how to cope with what's going on at home. You know, dad's not there, mom's teaching me how to be a man, but how can mom teach me to be a man if she's a woman? So it's like, what do I do? And, you know, kids need to learn these social programs, you know, how to deal with pain, how to deal with your emotions, sadness. It's not good just to bottle it up and let it out on the first person that pops off of you at the street.
Exactly.
Right, so God, it's such an important, and I love this program. I love hearing about it and watching it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When you guys do your groups, or whenever you have your circles as a mentor?
So for my peace education, what we typically do, it really just depends. Like how you said, the school values English, science, and math, so we typically don't try to take students out during those times. We usually do it right before school starts at the end, and we implicate some kind of material that they want to learn. So the way I do it personally is I ask my students, like, what do you guys want to talk about? To my surprise, they all have a lot of great ideas that they actually see every day. Sometimes they'll say sportsmanship. I have little 5th grade boys that fight all the time on the soccer field, and they just want to know, like, we don't want to fight, we just don't know what to do in that situation.
It's what we see on TV, so, you know, hey, why not just do it?
So another curriculum is they want to talk about lying, like, are white lies okay? Like, what if I did this? A lot of them, like I said earlier, they're just really looking for some kind of guidance. Like, they don't have someone to talk to about these things. I've had students where we do a put-down box. So there's like a put-down box in my room, and if at home or at school and you don't want to talk about it, you write down the put-downs, you put it in the box. At the end of the week, we would ask the students, do you guys want to read the put-downs or do you want to tear them up? Because they don't matter. And some weeks they wanted to hear what people were saying, and it was just very inspiring to see these kids wanting to see like what their classmates and peers go through. And I just feel like that's really what I revolve my education on, is more about connecting them with each other, creating these social bonds. So as they go along, because I teach them 5th grade, so the next school year they're going to another school. A lot of the times middle school is very tough. It's very difficult. I worked in a middle school for a year as well. I had a lot of students that just did not see eye to eye, but they're growing. They don't know how to express themselves yet. So I really want to teach my students that if they work together, if they work really hard, they together can grow as well, no matter wherever they go. So that's mainly what I revolve my education around.
So whenever a mentor is feeling like he's doubting his ability to affect somebody, is there something like, is there like an inspirational program you have them go through, or you kind of just tell them this is how it goes?
The mentors work really closely with our program director, and she's very trained in counseling and therapy, and she's been in the field for 30 years, and so she's their person that they can go to when they're struggling. And I think the mentors themselves, just the camaraderie between the three of them, and being able to talk about their schools and debrief, getting support from Benita, also getting support from the school if they need to, all helps keep them inspired and give them the tools they need when they're struggling, because they're dealing with heavy stuff.
Exactly.
All our mentors go through trauma-informed care training. So we try to equip them with the tools they need so they can be successful in their job. But a big part of that is it's empathy, right? It's fostering empathy with their students and then fostering empathy with themselves. A big part of our mentor training is self-care, which I think needs to be a big part of all our training for people that are working with youth. You gotta sit well in your own space to be a positive impact in another youth's life. So that's always crucial in just constantly developing that piece as well. And then forgiveness, teaching forgiveness and how to forgive and the process of forgiveness. All of us at TKF practice that in our own lives, you know, because we can't teach students things that we don't embody ourselves. And that's a really crucial part of our organization. That we have compassion for ourselves and others, that we practice forgiveness, that we practice empathy, because kids know, you know, what's real and what's not real. And if you go into a classroom and you don't live who you are, they're gonna smell it a mile away. And you won't be successful, you know? So I think that's a big part of what we integrate just within the organization, within our staff, within our board.
Yeah, I want to add, it's funny that you mentioned that, because in the 2 years, not once have I ever like felt uninspired. I feel like me and my colleagues, Rocio and Jeremy, like we work very, very closely together. I'll implicate a project. I'm very project based. We'll do like beach cleanups. We'll do like hikes. I really like to get my kids involved. And then another school will do something else, and then we'll share our ideas. And because we're always sharing ideas, there's always something to do. There's always something to keep us going. And if you have that motivation, if you see yourself in these kids and you can see that they're gonna grow up to be such great leaders, there's no need to be like re-inspired. Like this is what you want to do. This is what you're here to do. And I feel like these just looking at the faces of these kids on promotion, like I didn't lose, but I had this is my second graduating 5th grade or promoting 5th grade class. And from the beginning, when they first started off as 5th graders to when they were promoting, you can just see it in their faces on that stage, like how much they've grown, like how proud they are, all their achievements. And to us, it's just, oh, they're just promoting to 6th grade. But to that little boy, that little girl, like they have accomplished something so great. And I just feel like that right there inspires me every day I go to work. Like just knowing that we'll make it there, like gives me the strength throughout the whole job.
Wow, that's amazing. This is the best program I've heard of.
Yeah, like I said, there's not many resources. It's more like, I'm still just pretty shocked thinking back, talking to you guys about it, how the whole school just came to TKF. Not like we weren't there for the whole school. Like I wish I could help out every student, give them all the time and hear all their stories, but so much can be done at a time, and I did my best, but it was just a great feeling knowing that the resources.
When I used to work for a nonprofit, that's what I would, schools would ask, so how you can get the boys to come towards your program? The boys are just going to come naturally. Mm-hmm. They are, because they want this. They need someone to talk about what's going on in their life, because there's only so much a teacher could do, because they have their rules and boundaries set for what they can and can't talk about. But you could come to this mentor, this outside program that we're working with, and you can actually share those things. You can just let it out. I would teach, it's okay for boys to cry. Mm-hmm. It's okay to feel pain. What's not okay is if you bottle it up and don't tell anybody, and 5 years later you pop someone off and end up in prison.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens, definitely. Yeah. I feel like you hit the hammer on the nail when you said that. I feel because I have a safe space, as she said, I've had boys come to me secretly. Like they don't want anybody to know anything. We live in a society where boys don't cry and you have to man up.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have to definitely allow these young individuals to have somewhere to go.
So if I could ask you, because we've mentioned a few times the proposal for the White House Boys and Men Council. How would you guys, if we had that, how would you guys see it benefit the nation?
I think it would be huge. I think as adults, we've done a poor job in supporting our youth. And I think whatever we can do to redeem that, I think our mindset of zero tolerance and 3 strikes you're out, and our punitive way of how we discipline on school campuses, and the lack of resources that's given to schools and to programs that are feeding the social and emotional needs of our kids. I think we failed at that, and I think as a country we need to redeem that. So I think this is a step in the right direction. I think we our youth are our future. I know we hear that over and over again, but it's true, and we need to help raise healthy men, healthy youth, because one day they'll be running the country. So we need to think about that and creating strong leaders that practice peace and empathy and compassion. I think it's crucial for our country. So I'm really supportive and excited to see that is taking place.
Well, Tasreen, how are people able to contact you or find
For people
your
who want
page
to
or
get
your?
involved more.
Yes, you can contact us on our website, www.tkf.org, or email us at info@tkf.org, or call us as well. All our information is on our website. So
I also want to add to that, if you have any questions or need help into resources or anything like that, you can also feel free to contact us. At our assemblies, we hand out a resource sheet, and we definitely just want to connect people with the correct information. There are a lot of resources out there, and people just are not taking advantage of them. We definitely want to make sure people are.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, and this is Young Voices TV.
And if you guys want to contact them for more information, don't forget, go to www.tkf.org.